The quiet of Chantel's dressing room was shattered when a crew member stumbled upon a white stick tucked into her makeup bag. Positive pregnancy test. Its faint line hinting at a life about to change. Fans are shocked to learn that Chantel hasn't seen her boyfriend in over 3 months, igniting whispers of a mysterious affair or a desperate stunt to boost ratings. Questions raced across social feeds. Who could be the father? And why would Chantel keep such a secret so long? Insiders claim Chantel has been sneaking off to secret doctor's appointments, her trademark smile faltering under the weight of hidden news. Meanwhile, her closest confidants were allegedly left in the dark, blindsided when gossip bloggers began piecing together cryptic social posts and blurry ultrasound rumors. The family was left divided, some defending Chantel's privacy, others accusing her of playing a dangerous game with truth and trust as production teeters on the brink of catastrophe. Viewers are left wondering, is this a genuine surprise that will rewrite Chantel's story forever or a calculated plot twist engineered by savvy producers? Emotions ran high when an anonymous insider threatened to leak the full medical file, promising to reveal the shocking timeline of how Chantel's world tilted on its axis. Buckle up. This secret could append everything you thought you knew. Chantel sat in her trailer, fingers trembling as she stared at the small white stick resting on her vanity table. The faint second line seemed to pulse under the harsh fluorescent lights, a silent confession that threatened to undo everything she'd carefully built over the past season. Just days earlier, she'd laughed with castmates over champagne. Her smile, effortless. Now that same smile felt like a mask she could no longer wear. Fans are shocked to learn that Chantel hasn't seen her boyfriend in 3 months, sparking rumors that swirled darker than any paternity scandal reality TV has dared to air before. Rumors began to ripple through the production lot when a wardrobe assistant discovered the test while sorting laundry baskets. Whispers spread faster than wildfire. "Did you see Chantel's shocker?" one crew member hissed. "Apparently she's pregnant." Another scoffed, "But she hasn't seen the guy in months. What's she hiding?" Within hours, the gossip exploded online, fueling conspiracy theories that ranged from a secret fling with a mystery donor to a calculated rating stunt. Chantel's phone buzzed relentlessly with missed calls from her manager, frantic texts from friends and anonymous tips promising to reveal her medical records in exchange for payment. Meanwhile, Chantel's inner circle scrambled for answers. Maya, her best friend and fellow cast member, paced the hallway outside her trailer. "Chantel, what's going on?" Mia whispered urgently when chorus of gossip finally drew Chantel out. Chantel's eyes darted around. Panic flashed as she leaned in. "I don't know what leak came first, the test or the ultrasound rumors," she replied, voice low and strained. Maya's hand flew to her mouth. "Ultrasound? What ultrasound?" Chantel shook, her head tears threatening. "I haven't been to any appointment. I haven't even told him." The admission was Rono-polished soundbite. Just the desperate fear of someone whose secret had slipped through her fingers across the lot. Producers huddled in the main trailer faces, grim as they monitored social feeds. Their plan to keep Chantel's personal life off camera had backfired spectacularly. An assistant producer tapped at her tablet, eyes widening. "We've got a storm inbound," she muttered. They debated whether to spin the leak as an emotional twist or a breach of privacy. One executive argued, "We need to control the narrative before tabloids tear her apart." Another warned, "If we overreact, people will smell a setup." As they argued, Chantel's test became a totem of both vulnerability and manipulation, a symbol of reality TV's messy collision with real life. Back in her trailer, Shan dialed her boyfriend's number for the 100th time, hoping against hope. For an answer. Voicemail clicked on. "Hey, it's me. Leave a message." She pressed her forehead to the cool mirror glass. 3 months without seeing him. 3 months of distance she'd blamed on career commitments. But now the distance seemed like a chasm. Doubt and guilt mingled in her chest. Had she been honest with him? Or was this entire storyline designed by producers to mask something darker outside? Crew members speculated. One makeup artist whispered to a friend, "I saw Chantel crying into a pregnancy test box backstage." The friend replied, crying or laughing. "Maybe she's in on it." Fans are shocked that what seemed an intimate moment might have been orchestrated, but chants of authenticity now rang hollow. Each follower torn between empathy and suspicion. Call-out videos began surfacing. Chantel's games are exposed. Proclaimed one. Leave her alone. Countered another. The family was left, divided, a microcosm of the chaos enveloping Chantel's world. As day turned to dusk, Chantel agreed to a private meeting with the showrunner and her manager in the dimly lit production office. She entered the room clutching the open test wrapper like evidence. The showrunner's expression was unreadable. "Chantal, this leak is going to overshadow everything he said. We need your side of the story." Chantal's lips trembled. She swallowed and managed. "I haven't been to a doctor. Scared, confused, and I don't know how it happened." The manager interjected. "We can frame this as a journey of discovery." But Chantel shook her head. She wanted no more spin. She craved honesty. Later in the makeup chair, Chantel stared at her reflection, lip quivering. Another castmate, Monique, tapped her shoulder. I heard Monique said softly, "If you need anything, I'm here." Chantel managed a small nod. But as Monique walked away, Chantel's eyes flicked to the mirror's edge where a camera lens peered in, ready to capture her every nuance. The line between support and exploitation blurred until she couldn't breathe. Meanwhile, bloggers unearthed a blurry photo of Chantel leaving a medical building. No date stamp. No confirmation of purpose. Fans seized on it. "See, she was at an ultrasound." One comment read, "Chantel's attorney fired off a Cassandus letter demanding removal of the clip, but the momentum of scandal was unstoppable." Chantel watched her. Online world fracture. Team Chantel messages jostled with #Chell hoax accusations. Her heart pounded as she realized that the only certainty was that nothing would ever be the same. That night, in a quiet corner of the set, Chantel recorded a confessional unscripted. "Raw. I don't even know who to trust right now," she said, voice cracking. "I'm terrified of being a joke, of losing him, of losing myself." Her confession echoed in the Nurmi studio, a whisper against the riot of cameras and noise. Emotions ran high. Not for the viewers so much as for Chantel herself, caught between the urge to reclaim her story and the fear that her life was no longer her own. As midnight approached, Chantel retreated to her trailer to find solace in the Estonius, in the only person who mattered, her boyfriend. She dialed his number again. This time it rang. Her heart leapt as a male voice answered, but it wasn't him. A secretary's brisk greeting informed her he was unreachable, buried in meetings. Chantel closed her eyes, pressing the phone to her chest. He'd been absent for 3 months, invisible in her turmoil, as if their connection had been replaced by cameras that demanded all her attention. The ache of loneliness cut deeper than any rumor. Outside, a lone producer gathered with crew by the catering tent. They passed around a folder labeled Medical Leak, its pages spilling with notes from anonymous insiders. One assistant flipped through, alarmed. "This goes beyond reality TV. Dramit's a privacy breach." Another shrugged, its ratings gold. The conflict between ethics and entertainment played out in whispers that carried through the night air. Chantel's test had become a battleground where loyalty, trust, and human dignity clashed under. Harsh lights dot in the silent hours before dawn. Chantel stared at the test, eyelids heavy. She picked it up and tossed it into a small trash banana act of defiance or denial. She didn't know. The next day's shoot required her to deliver a polished storyline. Shock, reveal, tears, redemption. But in that moment, all she felt was a hollowness, deeper than any valley of drama. The test's faint line had become a threshold she couldn't cross alone. With morning light creeping through the blinds, Chantel steeled herself for another day on set. The test was gone, but its echo lingered in every shadow, every whispered conversation, every camera angle that lingered too long on her face. As she lifted the first makeup brush to her cheek, she wondered if the story she was about to tell would look like the truth, or just another line in the saga, scripted by someone else's hand. The next morning's call time felt like a march to the gallows. Chantel arrived on set before dawn, the weight of the previous night's revelations hanging over her like a storm. Cloud. She slipped into her trailer where a small cluster of friends, Maya, Monique, and Renee, had gathered with sympathetic looks. "We've got your back," Maya whispered, placing a hand on Chanel's shoulder. Chantel forced a grateful smile, but inside her chest was a drumbeat of dread. Today's scenes would require her to simulate shock and vulnerability, but every fake tear felt like chiseling away at her real pain. Her reel outside the crew bustled about under the glare of bright lights. A new sign had appeared at the entrance. "Private medical drama ahead. Viewer discretion advised." It was subtle, but Chantel spotted it in a mirror's reflection and swallowed hard. The producers had chosen to lean into the crisis, planning to air the footage in a special medical revelation episode. Behind that sign lay hidden cameras training on her every move, a public spectacle built on her private life. The day schedule called for a group challenge in the house kitchen, a bake-off competition judged by guest star chef Adrienne. The cast? Assembled banter flew about butter ratios and secret family recipes. Canal joined the circle, her hands shaking as she measured flour. Brandi quipped, "You look like you filmed a horror show trailer last night." Chantel's cheeks flushed. Nobody knew how close to the truth that remark cut. She managed a weak laugh, stirring batter as though any normal competition could distract from the chaos of her heart. When cameras rolled, Chantel was asked to confide in a private confessional booth about how the pregnancy news is affecting you. She stepped inside, lights glaring, audience unseen but omnipresent. Her voice caught as she began. "I feel like I'm losing control. My life was moving forward with him with peace, and now I'm standing in mud I can't climb out of." Tears welled, and she let them fall. Genuine emotions seeping into a storyline, desperate for authenticity. "I haven't seen him in months," she added, voice breaking. "And now I might carry a piece of someone else." The silence afterward was heavy. Even the crew outside the booth held their breath. Back in the kitchen set, Chantal returned to the bake-off. Her cake was half-formed as she stared at the worry mixer caught between two worlds. Monique leaned in. "Buzz off for 1 second," she hissed. "Take 3 breaths." Chantel exhaled, tasting flour on her lips and focused on folding in whipped cream. Yet, each swirl reminded her of ultrasound images she had never seen, of doctor's appointments she had never attended. Minutes later, the competition judges declared victor in a cleaving drumroll that felt comically incongruent. Chantel's cake had a collapsed center. Dennis, another castmate, teased, "That's a crater, not a cake." And cameras caught her doess. Chanel shrugged. "I have bigger worries," she shot back, surprising herself with the edge in her voice. The producers, hidden behind monitors, exchanged satisfied glances. Drama was brewing organically. After the challenge, Chantal was ushered to a staged support intervention scene. The set was arranged like a cozy living room, soft cushions, and a steaming pot of tea on the coffee table. Maya, Monique, Renee, and even Jackie sat in a semicircle. Chantel perched on a plush armchair, trembling as the lights warmed her skin. The director signaled action. "We need to show how much you need your friends now," he whispered into the hidden mic. Chantel nodded, bracing herself for another spotlight on her pain. Not Maya leaned forward, concern etched in her brow. "Chantel, you don't have to go through this alone. Tell us how we can help." Chantel closed her eyes, her voice low and raw. "I want to reach out to him," she said, meaning the 3-month Obson boyfriend. "But I'm scared he'll think I'm a fraud." Renee's voice trembled. "We'll support you no matter what." Monique brushed away a tear. "We're family." Chantel's breath hitched as she looked around at faces she treasured. In that moment, she believed their words until reality whispered that the cameras would edit her vulnerability into clickbait. The scene wound down. A chant was left alone on the couch to film a solo confessional. She stared into the lens. "Truth is, I'm terrified," she whispered. "I don't know if this baby is mine, and I don't know if he'll even want me now." She exhaled, voice husky. "I want honesty, but I don't know where to find it." The silence that followed felt like an invitation for the next twist, one that lurked closer than she realized. Later, in an empty corridor backstage, Monique intercepted Chantel. "Did you hear about the medical file leak?" she asked, urgency in her eyes. Chantel's heart sank. "What file?" Monique pressed her phone screen into Chantel's hand, a headline from a shady medical forum boasting full deeds on Chantel's pregnancy timing. Chantel scrolled. It claimed she had taken a home test weeks ago and buried it. That the father was a mystery donor she'd met on social media. Her stomach twisted. Whether or not there was truth to it, the lie stung deep. The leak had crossed a line her personal health history weaponized for gossip. Infuriated, Chantel stormed into the nearest production office, confronting the assistant producer. "Who's leaking this filth?" she demanded, voice trembling with anger and fear. The producer raised her hands. "We're trying to manage it, but it's coming from outside source scantacted by anonymous tips." Chantel pressed on anonymous like someone on our cast, someone with access to my bag. The producer looked away. "I can't guarantee you anything." Chantel's chest tightened. Betrayal wasn't only a storyline, it was real, and it had a face she couldn't yet name. In the green room, Chantel found Evelyn pacing. Evelyn's eyes were red-brimmed. "I'm sorry," she blurted. "I didn't know they'd dig into your personal files." Chantel crossed her arms. "Did you send them?" Evelyn recoiled. "Of course not. But I might have mentioned your name to a blogger just to deflect attention from my own drama." Chantel's jaw clenched. "So you played with fire?" Evelyn's lips quivered. "I thought it would distract them from the Brandi scandal." Chantel's hurt was palpable. "At what cost?" she whispered. Evelyn winced. "I'll fix this. I'll find the source." But her words offered little comfort. That afternoon's shoot was a montage of Chantel interacting with her castmates. Laughter forced around a picnic table. Supportive embraces shared jokes about whipped cream spoons, yet every shot felt hollow. Shared moments shadowed by the fear that the next cut would reveal her pain. Cameras lingered on her smile as though it were a miracle. To Chantel, it felt like an act of desperation. Between takes, Chantel slipped to the edge of the lot near a flower-lined fence. She dialed her boyfriend's number again, earbuds in, waiting with bated breath. It rang, her pulse thor in her ears. A male voice answered Chantel. Relief flooded her until the voice said, "Sorry, wrong number." Chantel backed away, tears stinging. The final shred of hope had snapped. She pressed her palm to the fence, whispering to the flowers, to the world. "I'm not a game piece." Her voice broke on the wind. As evening fell, the executive producer called an all-hands meeting in the main trailer. Cast and crew filled the cramped space, faces etched with exhaustion. The producer's tone was grave. "We're off the rails. Sponsors are calling. Viewers are polarized. We need an authentic turnaround." Chantel braced herself. They announced a special episode, Chantel's Truth, where she would finally reveal her side. Off teleprompters, unscripted. Chantel's heart pounded. At last, a chance to speak her truth, yet terrified of the pain she'd unearthed. That night, Chantel lay in her bed, replaying every moment. The test on the vanity, the discovery in the laundry, the corridors of betrayal. She wrapped herself in blankets, clutching her phone like a lifeline. As she drifted to sleep, she resolved to face the next day with honesty, no more hiding. No more spin. Whether her story would heal or shatter, she would no longer be a bystander in her own life. The cameras might still roll, but Chantel vowed that from this moment on, every tear, every confession would belong to her alone. As dawn broke, Chantel's trailer door swung open and she stepped into the corridor with determined steps, wiping away the sleep from her eyes. Crew members pee from behind equipment. Cameras already rolling for the Chantel's Truth special. She drew a deep breath, the weight of yesterday's revelation still pressing on her chest, but resolved to speak from the heart. Producers hovered in the wings, whispering reminders of topics to cover her relationship. The test discovery, the mysterious leak butt. Chantel set her jaw intent on steering her own narrative. The set was stripped down, bare walls, single chair, under a soft spotlight and no frills. Chantel sat, hands folded in her lap as the director called action. She looked directly into the lens, voice steady but gentle. I know. Many of you feel betrayed, she began. And I don't blame you. She paused, letting the admission hang. So, I want to tell you everything as I experienced it. She confessed how the test ended up in her bag. She had purchased multiple at-home tests, after a fleeting suspicion that came during a period of stress, and one had slipped into her personal items. She described the moment she realized what it was alone in her bathroom, heart pounding with fear at how to face her boyfriend, and the cameras. As the cameras rolled, Chantel shared the full story. How 3 months earlier, her relationship had frayed under the pressure of filming late-night shoots and distance. She had faced doubts, questioning whether she wanted motherhood without his presence. I love him, she said, voice quavering, but distance made me question everything. She spoke of her hesitation to seek confirmation, too terrified of a positive result without his support. Mid-confession, Chantel dropped another truth bomb. She'd confided in Monique only days before, asking whether she should take a test at all. Monique's face had fallen at the mention of potential news, but Chantel admitted she hadn't expected a positive. I thought I'd have time to prepare, she said, tears filling her eyes. Instead, the secret got out before I could even think. The emotional beat was interrupted by a producer's subtle cue, an insert shot of Chantel's trembling hands holding the first positive test. Fans watching at home would later comment that seeing her hands on screen made it all too real. After minutes of unfiltered vulnerability, Chantel stood and walked to a small table where a sealed envelope waited. She opened it, revealing a note from her boyfriend read aloud for the first time. On camera. I want to be there for you and our baby, no matter the distance. Her lip quivered as she read, offering the audience her most personal gift. Monique stepped forward to hug her, the cameras capturing the genuine embrace. Emotions ran high among the crew. To some wiped away tears. Others whispered words of encouragement. The special then pivoted to interviews with key figures. Monique sat across from Chantel in a two-shot confessional. I wish he'd told me sooner, Monique said, voice thick with remorse. But I understand fear. I'm here now, ready to help. Chantel reached across the table, squeezing Monique's hand. The moment felt unscripted, an oasis of authenticity amid the circus of reality TV. Viewers at home erupted in support on social media, praising Chantel's courage and the friendship that had weathered scandal. Next, the producers brought in a medical expert, Dr. Sanchez, a compassionate OB-GYN commentator. Off-camera, Chantel had consented to discuss general pregnancy facts. On camera, Dr. Sanchez spoke about early prenatal care, the emotional toll of uncertainty, and the importance of partner support. She explained why waiting to confirm with a home test can lead to anxiety, especially without professional guidance. Chantel listened, nodding, as Dr. Sanchez gently reminded viewers to seek timely medical advice, public service moment amid sensationalism. Just when the tone felt solemnly resolved, a fresh twist arrived. A dramatic knock sounded off camera, and a staffer entered with a small package addressed to Chantel. Cameras pivoted instinctively. Chantel opened it to reveal a tiny baby onesie embroidered with the words, "Future Star." Her breath caught. The note inside read, "From someone who believes you're going to be an amazing mama." Chantel's eyes widened. Was it from her boyfriend or an anonymous admirer? The ambiguity sent shockwaves through their production team. Chantel cradled the onesie against her chest, and her wide-eyed expression became the day's most shared. Clipped off the envelope's origin remained a mystery. Chantel admitted she'd sent herself the gift in a moment of playful hope, wanting to keep her spirits up amid fear. She laughed softly as she confessed the ruse, turning a potential fan conspiracy into a tender moment of self-care. The camera's gaze softened, capturing Chantel's resilience and willingness to embrace levity in dark times. Amid the confessionals, old cast members popped in via video link. Jackie appeared, offering a heartfelt apology for rumors she'd repeated about Chantel's test before knowing the truth. I jumped to conclusions, Jackie said. I'm sorry I hurt you. Chantel thanked her, and Jackie's emotional reply, a whisper, of I'm proud of you, brought a realness no contract could mandate. Next, Evelyn admitted in her segment that she'd been skeptical and guilty of gossiping, vowing to be more supportive. Even Brandi expressed regret, attributing her harsh words to industry pressure. The family was left divided no longer. The reunion of apologies and understanding felt genuine, but real life broke through once more as the special rapt chants of justice for Chantel trended globally. Yet anonymous posts surfaced claiming to have obtained her medical file, complete with dates, of a lab visit she'd never scheduled. Producers rushed to state that no legitimate records existed, but the insinuations persisted. Chantel, drained from the day's emotional marathon, faced a final confessional. "I thought telling my story here would close the chapter, but the more I share, the more shadows emerge." Her transparency left her vulnerable, yet bagged viewer trust in unparalleled ways. The special concluded with Chantel stepping outside the studio to a quiet courtyard bathed in evening light. She pressed the note from her boyfriend to her heart and looked upward. "I'm ready," she whispered. "For whatever comes next." The camera panned out, showing her small figure in a vast frame symbolic of her journey from secrets and speculation to owning her narrative. Emotions ran high among viewers who jeered the paparazzi and champions who praised her bravery. Line between reality and performance blurred. But for Chantel, the choice was clear to reclaim her story one heartfelt moment at a time. In the days that followed the special's broadcast, Chantel found herself in a whirlwind of paparazzi flashes and whispered conversations. She left the studio under heavy guard, her boyfriend waiting at the gate with a bouquet of white peonies to match the ones on the studio set. When he stepped forward, Chantel's lips trembled and she wrapped her arms around him. Relief and fear tangled in her chest. Yet behind the guarded smiles for the cameras, doubt still shadowed her gaze. Could she trust this reunion? Or was it another scene crafted for shock value? Production scheduled a follow-up shoot at Chantel's favorite cafe, a quaint spot with pastel walls and mismatched plates. She arrived hand in hand with her boyfriend, wary of hidden microphones. The director signaled action and cameras rolled as she introduced him to her friends. "This is him," she said softly, voice catching. "The person I love who stood by me when I needed him most." Monique, Renee, and Maya clustered around the couple, their support genuine. Fans watching from home posted heart emojis, comforted by the sight of love surviving scandal. But just as the scene felt like a bomb for Chantel's wounds, a barista approached with a steaming latte and a folded note. Cameras zoomed in as Chantel unfolded it. The note read, "He's not the father." Her breath caught, boyfriend's hand tightening around hers. The barista apologized, eyes wide, mistaken delivery, she claimed. Chantel sank into her chair as rumors ignited once more. Had the note come from a jealous ex, a vindictive producer, or someone on set seeking to extend the saga? Fans were shocked that even in a moment of unity, secrets lurked. The boyfriend pulled out his phone, scrolling through messages. Chantel watched his face, searching for hurt or anger. He looked up, tears in his eyes. "I love you," he whispered. "Regardless of what this note says, you're not alone." Chantel nodded, tears slipping down. The cameras captured the embrace, a powerful counterpoint to the cynicism that had plagued her. Yet behind that tender moment, the line between authentic emotion and stage drama blurred a new dot. Later in a quiet confessional booth, Chantel faced the lens. Today's twist hurts more than any scripted shock. She admitted nothing feels safe anymore. Her voice cracked, raw, and honest. She described the note's impact, how it dredged up old insecurities and threatened the fragile trust she'd just rebuilt. As she spoke, Monique stood backstage, petitioning the director to halt filming. "This is too real," Monique argued. "We're playing with her heart." The director hesitated but ultimately let the cameras roll, convinced that unfiltered emotion was television gold. In the aftermath of the cafe scene, the rumor mill spun faster. Bloggers speculated that Chantel had a secret affair, that she'd used a surrogate. Even that the note was a clever ruse to boost social media metrics. Chantel's own publicist issued a vague statement condemning malicious gossip, but the damage lingered. Chantel woke up to a barrage of notifications, some supportive, others cruel. She scrolled through comments. What next? A secret twin? Stop playing games, Chantel. The barrage left her reeling, wondering if her story would ever be hers again. At the next production meeting, the showrunner addressed the cast with unusual gravity. "We need to set boundaries," he said. The cafe incident went too far. He proposed a new storyline focus, personal healing, and community service, moving away from sensational twists. Some cast members cheered, eager to leave the scandal behind. Others, like Evelyn, expressed concern. "We built our brand on drama," she argued. "Softening the edges might lose viewers." The debate underscored a central conflict. Should reality TV evolve toward empathy or cling to the sensationalism that defined it? Meanwhile, Chantel made a personal decision. She wanted out of the next manufactured challenge. She drafted a letter, words flowing freely for the first time in weeks, declaring her need to step back to seek therapy to reconnect with real life, beyond cameras. She handed it to her manager, who nodded slowly. On her day off, Chantel met her boyfriend at a secluded beach. The ocean breezes carried a fragile peace. She walked barefoot, sand between her toes, her grief and hope mingling with each wave. He handed her a hand-drawn ultrasound sketch he'd made, balancing innocence and reassurance. "You create art even in uncertainty," he said. Chantel smiled through tears, closing her hand around the paper. Beyond the soundstage's chaos, she glimpsed the possibility of a life defined by love. Not headlines, but as twilight draped the shoreline, a lone paparazzo snapped photos from a distance. Chantel saw the flash, her breath hitching. The fear returned. No matter how far she ran, the cameras followed. In that instant, she realized that reclaiming her narrative would require more than confessions and retreats. It demanded a transformation of the system itself, a reckoning with the machinery that turned personal pain into public spectacle. Back on set, producers announced a surprise sit-down, a round table with Chantel, Monique, and the showrunner, to air their negotiations on her break. Chantel entered the studio still humid from the beach, her resolve stronger, though her exhaustion was palpable. Monique gave her a tight hug before they sat. The showrunner took a deep breath and began. "We want to support you, Chantel. Filming less doesn't mean we stop caring. Cameras captured. Every nod, every hesitant glance." Chantel spoke of her anxiety, her need for authentic space. The producers agreed to a limited 5-episode arc upon her return, promising storylines focused on growth and community projects. Fans reacted with cautious optimism. "Finally, self-care on reality," TV1 commented. "She deserves this," wrote another. Yet skeptics dismissed it as another plot twist, asserting that absence would only sharpen public hunger for her return. Chantel read the comments, her stomach nodding. Even her own advocates sometimes doubted her sincerity. Would stepping back be seen as strength, or an admission of defeat? As filming wrapped that day, Chantel walked through the empty lot, footsteps echoing on the pavement. She paused at a spot where the barber's pole once stowed a relic of an early season's challenge and touched the rough wood. Memories flickered. Laughter, tears, confrontation, confession. The journey had nearly broken her, but she felt a flicker of new purpose. She whispered to the empty space, "This is my story, and I will write it on my terms." The sun dipped below. The horizon, casting long shadows that mingled with the lot's bright lights, still hung for shooting. Chantel took one last look before heading to her trailer. The weight of the test, the leaks, the notes, and the rumors pressing her forward. Change was inevitable, whether from choice or force. But Chantel resolved that when cameras returned, they would find a woman in command of her destiny, no longer defined by a single line on a stick, but by the courage to stand on the edge of her own narrative and leap into the unknown. You've watched Chantel's world spin from private fear to public spectacle. And now it's time to weigh in. Do you believe her revelation of a surprise positive test was an honest mistake born of anxiety? Or was it a calculated storyline twist that cost her more than she ever bargained for? Are you on Team Chantel, rooting for her to reclaim her narrative and find real support beyond the cameras? Or do you think stepping back shows weakness in a world that rewards drama? Fans are shocked by the leaks, the scandalous rumors, and the Note that turned a reunion into another cliffhanger, and emotions ran high. As Chantel's trust fractured with every reveal, the family was left divided between empathy and suspicion. And you've seen how a single test can ignite a storm of speculation. Now, will you stand with Chantel as she steps away to heal? Or will you demand that reality TV deliver ever more twists to keep you hooked? Let us know in the comments, what outcome do you want to see? Should Chantel return refreshed and ready to write her own script? Or do you think her saga should end with a final goodbye to the spotlight? Share your theories about what really happened behind the scenes and tell us whose side you're on, Team Honesty or Team Twist. If you're still reeling from secret ultrasounds and cafe surprises, hit that like button to show your support and subscribe for the latest insider exposés you won't find anywhere else. Ring the bell so you're first to know when Chantel's story takes its next turn, and share this video with friends who love the juiciest reality TV conspiracies. Your voice matters. Join the conversation. Cast your vote and help shape the next chapter of a saga that began with a single pregnancy, test, and became a lesson in power, privacy, and the price of truth.